When BTS officially announced their long-awaited comeback, the global reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Social media timelines froze, fan communities reignited, and international media rushed to frame what this return would mean for the future of the group. Yet amid the celebration, another conversation quietly emerged, one that refused to fade. It centered on a single name: Jungkook. While the announcement focused on BTS as a collective, Jungkook's presence dominated online discussions, not because of controversy or rumor, but because of something far more compelling: the question of what comes next for an artist who has already proven he can stand alone on the world stage. Is Jungkook preparing to open a new solo chapter, even as BTS prepares to reunite? This article explores that question through facts, patterns, and industry context, without crossing into unfounded claims. Almost immediately after the comeback announcement, Jungkook's name surged across search engines and social media platforms. This was not coincidental. Jungkook enters this BTS comeback as one of the most successful solo artists ever to emerge from K-pop. His previous solo releases were not side projects, they were global events. As a result, fans and analysts alike are viewing this comeback through a dual lens: BTS returning as a group, Jungkook returning as a member after global solo success. That duality has naturally raised questions about his future direction. To understand why speculation exists, one must understand the scale of Jungkook's solo achievements. His solo era established him as a global chart force, a vocalist capable of carrying entire projects alone, an artist whose appeal extended far beyond BTS's traditional audience. This was not a temporary experiment, it was a foundational chapter in his career. Because of this, fans widely agree on one thing: Jungkook's solo path feels unfinished, not concluded. As of January 2026, Jungkook has made no official announcements regarding solo music. In pop culture, silence often creates anxiety. In Jungkook's case, it has created curiosity. Industry observers note that artists at Jungkook's level often enter periods of quiet focus before major creative shifts. These pauses are rarely empty, they are preparatory. There is no confirmation that Jungkook is working on solo material, but there is also no indication that he has closed that door. BTS is not a group that erases individuality. Historically, the group has encouraged members to develop personal artistry alongside group identity. Jungkook's solo success fits within this tradition rather than contradicting it. This context is crucial. The idea of Jungkook continuing solo work does not suggest separation from BTS, it suggests coexistence. Fans are not questioning loyalty, they are questioning timing. Jungkook is no longer at the beginning of his career. He is entering a phase where artists often redefine their long-term legacy. The decisions made during this period tend to shape how their careers are remembered. With BTS returning and Jungkook standing at a creative peak, the possibility of a new solo chapter feels less like speculation and more like a natural progression. Fan discussions around Jungkook's future remain largely respectful and grounded. Rather than spreading rumors, fans are analyzing past interview statements, career patterns of global artists, the timing of BTS's return. These conversations are rooted in observation, not invention. So far, there have been no claims of confirmed solo releases, and responsible fans continue to emphasize that distinction. In the global music industry, artists who successfully transition into solo stardom rarely abandon that avenue entirely. Instead, they alternate between group activities, individual releases, collaborative projects. Jungkook fits this model almost perfectly. From an industry standpoint, the idea that he may return to solo work at some point in 2026 is plausible, but still unconfirmed. One of the strongest arguments behind the speculation is simple: creative growth does not reverse. Jungkook has developed songwriting confidence, vocal maturity, and performance identity. Returning exclusively to a group framework would not erase those qualities, but it would likely coexist with future individual expression. This does not imply immediate action, it implies possibility. Among fans, the dominant question is not whether Jungkook will release solo music again, it is when and how it will align with BTS's schedule. This shift in questioning reflects trust in Jungkook's artistic instincts rather than doubt in his direction. As of now, there is no official confirmation of a new solo project. What exists instead is anticipation. Jungkook stands at a rare intersection of success, maturity, and opportunity. Whether his next step is solo, group-focused, or a blend of both, it is clear that his story is far from finished. The BTS comeback announcement may have marked a return, but for Jungkook, it may also signal the quiet beginning of something new. One of the most overlooked aspects of Jungkook's current position is the psychological shift he has undergone. Jungkook is no longer operating from a place of proving himself. That phase has passed. His solo achievements have already answered the industry's toughest questions about his viability as a standalone artist. What remains now is intention. Artists at this stage often begin to choose projects not for validation, but for meaning. This shift may explain why Jungkook's public presence feels more measured in early 2026. Silence, in this context, is not absence, it is selectivity. Jungkook's military service, like that of his fellow BTS members, represents a profound interruption and transformation. Many artists who return from such structured environments describe a recalibration of priorities. Time becomes more valuable, expression becomes more deliberate, creativity often becomes quieter but deeper. While Jungkook has not publicly spoken in detail about how this experience has affected his artistic outlook, fans and observers alike believe it may influence the themes and tone of his future work, whether solo or with BTS. It is important to distinguish between speculation and expectation. Speculation asks questions. Expectation demands answers. In Jungkook's case, most discourse remains firmly in the realm of speculation. Fans are curious, not entitled. They analyze patterns, but they wait for confirmation. This distinction has helped keep discussions grounded and respectful, avoiding the pressure that often overwhelms artists at pivotal moments in their careers. One undeniable factor shaping this conversation is Jungkook's expanded global audience. His solo work introduced him to listeners who may not have followed BTS closely before. These listeners now form a secondary audience, whose expectations differ slightly from traditional K-pop fandom structures. For Jungkook, navigating this dual audience, longtime ARMY and newer global listeners, adds complexity to any future decision about solo releases. A common misconception is that solo work detracts from group identity. In reality, modern pop history suggests the opposite. Artists who explore individual creativity often return to group projects with renewed perspective and confidence. If Jungkook were to open another solo chapter in the future, it would not necessarily compete with BTS's activities. Instead, it could enhance the group's creative ecosystem, bringing fresh influences and expanded reach. Another factor fueling speculation is Jungkook's increasing comfort with creative control. Over time, he has shown greater involvement in musical decisions, vocal direction, and performance interpretation. This level of engagement often signals an artist ready to take ownership of long-form creative projects. Whether this manifests as solo music, production involvement, or conceptual leadership within BTS remains to be seen. From an industry perspective, Jungkook is viewed as a long-term figure rather than a trend-based success. Music executives and analysts often categorize artists like Jungkook as career builders, individuals whose relevance spans decades rather than cycles. This long-view framing makes the idea of additional solo chapters not only plausible, but strategically sound, even if they are spaced carefully around group commitments. One recurring theme in discussions about Jungkook's future is timing. There is no urgency forcing him into immediate solo activity. With BTS returning and his reputation already secure, Jungkook has the rare luxury of choosing timing over speed. This patience contrasts sharply with the rapid release culture of modern pop, and it may define how his next chapter unfolds. Perhaps the most telling signal in all of this speculation is Jungkook's demeanor. There is no visible anxiety, no rush, no over-explanation. Instead, there is a quiet confidence, one that suggests an artist fully aware of his value, his options, and his audience. This confidence allows space for both group loyalty and individual ambition to coexist without conflict. As January 2026 continues, the question remains unanswered. Is Jungkook preparing a new solo chapter? The honest answer is, there is no confirmation, only possibility. But that possibility exists for a reason. It exists because Jungkook has earned it through consistency, growth, and global impact. The BTS comeback marks a powerful return. For Jungkook, it may also mark a pause before the next personal evolution. And in an industry driven by noise, that pause may be the most meaningful signal of all.